Hi students, this is the second part of the Unit 3 study guide. We're picking up on solving equations, and then we'll do a third video for solving inequalities. So for solving an equation, we want to factor and multiply by our common denominators. So let's see. Let's zoom in a lot so we get some room. All right, so the first thing we want to do is factor the denominators. So we're going to have 4x plus 24, and that's going to be divided by x plus 5 times x minus 5, and that's going to equal 1 over x plus 5 times x minus 5, and plus 1 over x plus 5. Now, we want to multiply the entire equation by our different denominators. So that's going to be x plus 5 times x minus 5. And let's see. So when we distribute x plus 5 times x minus 5 to the first fraction, both terms in the denominator cancel. So we get 4x plus 24. Then that's going to equal, we distribute again, the same denominator terms cancel. We get 1, and then we distribute once more, and just the x plus 5 cancel. So we get plus x minus 5. So when we simplify, we get 4x plus 24 equals x minus 4. And that's going to give us, let's make sure that's right. So 4x plus 24 equals x minus 4. And that's going to then imply that 3x equals negative 28. So x is negative 28 divided by 3. That is our final answer. X is negative 28 divided by 3. We only need to check extraneous solutions when we end up with a quadratic when we did not have one. Any linear term is going to work out just fine. So next, for number 5, we're going to do the same thing. We get 5n minus 10 divided by n minus 5 times n plus 2. And that's going to equal 1 over n minus 5 plus, you know what, actually, that's just 6 over n minus 5 because they have the same denominator. So it's just 6 over n minus 5. And so now we're going to do the same thing that we did on the last problem, and that's just distribute. We're going to multiply to clear our denominators. So we're going to multiply here and here. So when we multiply the first fraction, both denominators cancel. We get 5n minus 10 equals, when we distribute the second time, the n minus 5 is going to cancel. So we get 6 times n plus 2. So that's going to be 5n minus 10 equals 6n plus 12. And if we subtract, so we're going to subtract 12 and then subtract 5n, and that's going to give us negative 22 equals n. So n is negative 22. And again, when you don't introduce in your own factors, you don't have to worry about checking extraneous solutions. Now for number 6, we're going to have to actually do that. So for number 6, we get, so that's going to be, let's make sure we have enough room. So for number 6, zoom in a bit, we're going to have, all right, so we're just going to say this is 3x times x plus 13. So what we need to do is multiply the entire equation by, we're going to write, even though we can multiply 2 and 3x, I want you to see what we're multiplying. So we're multiplying by 2, by 3x, and by x plus 13. And so when we distribute to each term, for the first term, the 2 is going to cancel. Let's undo that. For the first term, the 2 is going to cancel. So we get 3x times x plus 13 is equal to, for the second term, the 3x and the x plus 13 cancel. So we get 2 times x minus 10. And for the third term, the 3x cancels. So we get plus 2 times x plus 13 times 5x plus 25. Whew. All right, so this is going to turn into a quadratic formula problem, I'm pretty sure. And so we get, let's see, that's going to be 3x squared plus 39x equals 2x minus 20 plus 2 times 5x squared plus 25x plus 65x. 25x plus 65x is plus 90x. And 13 times 25 is, 12 times 25 is 300. So plus 325. So plus 325. And then if we distribute without having to take an extra step, that's going to give us 10x squared plus 180x plus 650. And if we combine like terms, so we got a 10x squared here, we're going to subtract 3x squared. So we get 0 is equal to 7x squared, 180 plus 2x is 182, and then minus 139. Minus 39 is going to be plus 143x, and then 650 minus, so we would get 10x squared plus 180x and plus 650, and then minus 20, so plus 630. So when we do the quadratic formula, we're going to get, so A is 7, B is 143, and C is 630. So we're just going to get some wild numbers. So we're going to have x equals negative 143 plus or minus the square root of 143 squared minus 4 times 7 times 630. And all of that is divided by 2 times 7. Do I have a calculator app on my phone? Let me check this on a calculator. So hold on just a moment. In a calculator, what's under the square root is going to give us, let's find out. Oh, I can't spell calculator. So in the calculator, we're going to get 143 times 143 minus 4 times 7 times 630. That is the square root of 2,809, which I'm pretty sure is 53. So 2809 to the 0.5. Yep. So this is 53. So all of this is just x equals negative 143 plus or minus 53 divided by 14. In one case, we get negative 196 divided by 14, or negative 143 plus 53 is negative 90 over 14. And 2 divides into both of these. So for the first one, that's just negative 14. And for the second one, that's going to be negative 45 divided by 7. So our two answers are negative 14 or negative 45 over 7. We can do what would have been the third video in this example. I think we have space. So for solving the inequality, it's pretty straightforward. For number 7, we just want to put the zeros and the vertical asymptotes on the number line. So we're going to put on negative 7 and positive 8. We'll do x equals negative 8. And then it's going to alternate signs. So from negative infinity and then to infinity. For negative 8, that would give you a negative value divided by a negative, which is going to be positive. And then it alternates signs. But if you want to check x equals 0, for instance, when x is 0, you're going to have a positive 7 divided by a negative 8. And if x is, 9, you're going to get a positive 16 divided by positive 1. So where this is greater than or equal to 0 is negative infinity to negative 7, bracket, union, parentheses, 8 to infinity. And again, a parenthesis on the 8 because it's a vertical asymptote. Number 8, the denominator factors to be x plus 7 times x minus 2. So on a number line, we get, let's see, we need a negative 7, negative 6, and a 2. And if we choose x equals negative 8, when x is negative 8, we're going to get a negative value divided by a negative times a negative. So 3 negatives are going to make a negative. I need some space. So 3 negatives make a negative. If x, then it's going to alternate signs. But again, if you want to check, if x is negative 6.5, so this was x equals negative 8, x equals negative 6.5, for instance, you get a negative in the numerator, a positive for the x plus 7 factor, and a negative for the x minus 2. 2 negatives make a positive. I believe you trust me on the other 2. So where x is less than 0, that's going to be from negative infinity to negative 7, parenthesis, union, a bracket for negative 6, and a 2 with a parenthesis. For number 9, we're going to rewrite this as x minus 7 times x minus 3 divided by x minus 2 times x minus 1. So then on a number line, we're going to put, let's see, we need 1, 2, 3, and 7. So make that an infinity. Let's see. So between negative infinity and 1, that's going to give us a negative, a negative, a negative, and a negative. 4 negatives make a positive. 1.5, you're going to get a negative, a negative, a negative, and a positive. So 3 negatives make a negative. 2.5, you want to get a negative, negative, and 2 positives. So you're going to get a positive. I don't know, if x equals 4, you're going to get a negative, a positive, and positive, positive. So that's going to make a negative. Then the last one is going to be positive. So we want less than 0. So we would have from 1 to 2, union 3 to 7. 3 to 7 with braces on both. And so then finally for number 10, we actually have to do some work. We're going to get, first we need to isolate this. So we're going to, since this is negative 4 with x plus 3, we're going to add that to the other side. So we get 4 over x minus 3 minus 3 over x minus 2 is less than or equal to 0. We're going to multiply the 3 over x minus 2 by x minus 3 in the numerator. You know what? Let's make some space here. Clear this out. Take all of that out. So let's see. This is still going to be less than 0, but I'm going to put in room for what we're multiplying by. So this is less than or equal to 0. All right, so we need to multiply this fraction by x minus 3 in the numerator and denominator, and the 4 over x minus 3 needs to be multiplied by x minus 2. So we're going to multiply by x minus 2 in the numerator and denominator. So that gives us 4x minus 8 minus 3x plus 9, because we're distributing a negative 3. And since they have the same denominator, that's just x minus 3 and x minus 2 is less than or equal to 0. I'm almost running out of space. So do I have space over here? Yeah. So 4x minus 3x is obviously, so we're going to get x plus 1 over x minus 3 and x minus 2. On a number line, we're going to put what's it? -1, 2, and 3. So from negative infinity to infinity. And again, if we choose, I don't know, x equals -2, you would get a negative divided by a negative times a negative. So 3 negatives make a negative. Then we're going to alternate signs. So if x is, all right, so we want where this is less than or equal to 0. So that's going to be as an answer from negative infinity. You can get more space than that. So where do I have space? Over here. So we would be going from negative infinity to -1, bracket on the -1, union 2 to 3, both with parentheses because they are vertical asymptotes. All right, so that's our video on equations and rational inequalities. You see, if I zoom out, we get all of that space. So we fit it all in, kids. All right. And if you want, the answers are here for all of this stuff. But I'm sure you trust my answers. So, all right. Oh, you know what? Actually, for number 9, because this is less than, those should be parentheses. My bad. All right. Thanks.